He's a sports rehabilitation therapist who specializes in treating musculoskeletal conditions and sport injuries.
My mindset from a young age, if I want to do something, besides the will of Allah, there's nothing that's going to stop me from achieving what I want to achieve. Every day, your goal should be, when I finish the day, what have I achieved? Focus on your craft. Take away social media. What are you known for? No one wants to marry you because you don't look in shape.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Rizwan from the business Mumkin. This is episode 5 of Mumkin Motivation, and today we've got a very special guest. His name is Bilal Shaikh. He's a sports rehabilitation therapist who specializes in treating musculoskeletal conditions and sport injuries. He's worked with clients, all around the world, and is the main man behind the company Shaikh Rehabilitation.
Assalamu alaikum.
Honestly, it's amazing that you've made your time to come all the way from Manchester, isn't it?
Yes, brother.
All the way down here. How was it? How was the trip coming here? Was it okay?
Alhamdulillah, it was pretty smooth. I know there's a football game on today, so a little bit of traffic just coming into Birmingham, but alhamdulillah, a pretty smooth journey.
Of course. Especially starting Mumkin Motivation, it's a podcast, but I really want to get the viewers to gain a lot of knowledge, regarding business, regarding, just impactful, inspiring stories that you may have, and the other guests that may have, right? And you've got a service type business. So in terms of like the guest that we had before, you're the first business actually that's a service type business.
Okay, mashallah.
So it's quite exciting. So to have you on board, again, your childhood, we just want to know how was your journey, man? How did it start?
Alhamdulillah, till the childhood, alhamdulillah, the amazing childhood. All credit to Allah and all credit to my beautiful parents. I'm from Manchester, born and raised in Old Trafford. For the most part of my life, I've lived in Old Trafford. Studied locally, your general primary school, high school, went to college, went to university in Manchester, University of Salford, studied madrasa in Manchester as well locally, and when I got to about the age of, after university graduated, after I did my degree in sports rehabilitation, I had the opportunity to travel to and work in Dubai. So I lived there for, just under 2 years. So between the ages of 21 and 23, that was the only real time where I've actually been away from home. So alhamdulillah, I moved back to the UK at the age of 23, 24. Then after that, marriage, grow my family, alhamdulillah. And then obviously start the journey of Shaikh Rehabilitation. Alhamdulillah, I've had a very good, childhood. All praise to Allah and all credit to my parents for that. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, just a local lad from Manchester, as we like to say.
No, of course. And in terms of what you studied, was it a job that you did in Dubai then?
So no, alhamdulillah, my background has always been in sport.
Yeah.
From a young age, played obviously a lot of sports, very active. Played football, but wasn't good at it. Was terrible at football. Typical Pakistani, play cricket. So played cricket. I never really got to any amazing level in the sense of county, anything like that. I just kind of worked my way up and played locally with the boys and a couple of school clubs and all this type of stuff, alhamdulillah. But always very interested in sport, all very interested in science. Loved biology and stuff like that. And then when I finished high school, I didn't really know which way to go. All my boys are going to do A-levels and some are going to do B-Techs and X, Y, and Z. And I spoke to one of my school teachers at the time, Mr. Richardson, and he kind of planted the seed of going down the route of maybe a sports therapist, a physiotherapist. So when I went to college, I studied sport and exercise science, just a basic level 3 extended diploma. Alhamdulillah, really enjoyed that. One thing I went to a college which was none of my boys went to, none of my friends went to it. So I was just on my own in this isolated college. So I just got to study and really got interested, really started understanding physiotherapy, sports therapy, sports performance, biology. And then when I went to university, I initially wanted to get into the physiotherapy degree. I didn't get access to that just because of whatever the rules and regulations were at the time. But then as an alternative, I got into a degree called sports rehabilitation, which is basically, in essence, you specialize in musculoskeletal conditions. It's very, very, very similar to physiotherapy. Physiotherapy looks at more different overall health conditions and rehabilitation processes, cardiovascular, neuro, musculoskeletal, So they look at a lot of different things, whereas in sports rehabilitation, in that degree that I worked in, was mainly musculoskeletal conditions and sports injuries, which alhamdulillah, it was fantastic because that's all I really was interested in. Then alhamdulillah, completed the degree there. And then when I went to Dubai, it wasn't specifically to carry out the skills I learned from my degree, but was more so because of the background I had in sports science and also elements of my degree as well. So when I went to Dubai, we were working within the education system and working, locally with, some of the local kind of schools and government entities, and really focusing on implementing a strong curriculum with the focus being on improving health, well-being, introducing, fitness activities, and just really pushing health and fitness from a young age to working your way up and just kind of developing that. Alhamdulillah, very good 2 years. I always say to everybody, when I lived there, I went as a boy. When I came back, I had the mentality of a man because I spent a lot of time alone in Dubai. Had a lot of crazy life experiences, some very ups, were very up and some were very down. A lot of health issues, just a lot of challenging points in my life, being away from my family at a young age. And then I also had some great, memories, from when you've, worked with certain children and helped them develop. Obviously Dubai, the life, alhamdulillah. It really kind of made me realise that there's more to Old Trafford. There's more to this world. And like my dad always used to say to me, son, the world's your oyster. So alhamdulillah, it was a very valuable experience for me, and something that I hold very close to my heart, in the sense of it really helped me develop. Went to Dubai as a boy, I came back with the mentality of a man. Alhamdulillah for that.
Yeah, I think exactly the same thing. When I went on holiday, even when I went Umrah or even Turkey and places like that, right? There's so many different people from so many different backgrounds. They speak different languages, and they've got their own completely different lives, different jobs, and it really makes you think that the world is so big. There's so many opportunities out there, and it's up to us if we're willing to take them. So for you to go there, right? I think one thing that's different is when you do move, especially, it's not a holiday. You're going to be there for 2 years. You were there. Your product of the environment's a big thing. So of course, back home, you've got your family system, you've got your friends. How was that product of your environment compared to going to Dubai, where you're on your own to a certain degree?
It was challenging. At first, it was very challenging, but I say the first 6 months in Dubai were tough, bro. I really missed my family, missed my mother. Obviously missed my father, my siblings, my grandmother at the time. It was very challenging. But alhamdulillah, my father always used to say to me, just be patient. Be patient and just do the best that you can. It only will get easier, son. And alhamdulillah, I used to remember his advice. And it got easier, 100%. And I think what happened is when I came back to visit my family, and I realised that, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed me to be in a good position. That's when it really made me at ease. So I say 6 months, it was tough. Yeah. And then the remaining year and a half, however much it was, I went back, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, the other thing is I had I made a very good friend there, who I one of my brothers for life now. Yeah. And his kind of the brotherhood that I had with him, that really made the journey a lot easier, alongside my colleagues, alongside a lot of the other people I met along the way. But alhamdulillah, it was great. Like I say, 6 months was tough, but I always remember my father's words, son, be patient, inshallah it'll get better. And it did, alhamdulillah, through the will of Allah, it definitely became easier.
No, I love that, because so I'm from Leicester, and the first graduate job that I got was actually in Newcastle, and I was a graduate engineer there, but it was completely different. I'm away from my family, my friends, everything like that, right? What I'm comfortable with, right? I don't know, one thing that was in my head, right? Of course, the job wasn't right for me, so that was one of the biggest indicators why I did change and why I did move. But one thing that was always sticking to me was like, I'm there, but I'm only there for work. If that makes, there's no more life besides work. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So I was only there for work. So and then when I would finish work, I'm spending time with myself. Yeah. So in terms of mental health, it makes you feel like, well, I'm gonna go to the gym all day. It makes you think. So how did you overcome that? How's your mental health?
Yeah. It was a very sticky period. It's like, obviously I've come from a thing where I've always been around my family. My grandmother, my mother, my father, my 3 siblings. my auntie, my cousins, everybody, always, and my friends. Alhamdulillah, I got some amazing friends who have really supported me. So alhamdulillah, going from that to then being completely on your own, it was tough. Like I say, 6 months, I definitely contemplated quite a few times. Khalas, call it, go home. I want to go eat my mum's roti at home now. You know what I mean? There were times, and especially navigating through a city, not having much money in my pocket. I've never actually told anyone on a podcast this, but when I moved to Dubai, I had £200 in my pocket.
Right.
I didn't have much. My father helped me out with that as well. He obviously helped me whenever I needed it, but I didn't want to ask him. But alhamdulillah, he was a great support for me. But I went there with only £200 in my pocket. I was, as I say, broke. So I had to then, basically figure my way out. But I never wanted to worry my parents too much. There was a point when I think it was only 2 weeks in, I was running short on money. Didn't have, and the salary didn't come for another week. Probably didn't have much in my pocket, and so I had to eat right, had to survive. And where I was living was on the old side of Dubai. It's called Al Qusais, towards Bur Dubai, all these areas. And there used to be a little shawarma shop downstairs, and it was like £1 shawarma, and that was my dinner for a week.
For a week,
Yeah, so in terms of challenging, I mean, think about it, coming from a place when you wake up, mum's got my breakfast ready, got lunch, got snacks, got dinner, to then just being like, right, not got much in my pocket, how do I get through this? Alhamdulillah, those challenges, they help build your character, right? So, alhamdulillah, Allah made it easy. He found me, through Allah, I found ways to get in a better position. Salary came in, started feeling a bit more settled. And then, for 6 months, I've gone from being in a family home to in a 1-bedroom, just an apartment.
Of course,
And I had like flatmates at the time, but there weren't no one who was like me, like in the sense of similar background, Muslim, most importantly, everyone's just kind of in their own world. And so for 6 months, I used to go to work. And at first, I didn't used to like the job. Didn't like it at all. Very different. A lot of people who've worked in the Middle East have this common experience at the beginning. Unless you have to be very resilient in these environments to overcome and get stronger and build relationships. So I've gone. Used to go to work, come home. I'm someone who's always been active.
Yeah.
Gym, going out with my mates. Going for walks. None of that. 6 months, didn't hit the gym. On top of that, not eating properly. Why? Didn't know how to cook in it like that. So I didn't know how to cook properly. Had to learn. My mother, I used to FaceTime my mother. I used to put the camera there. I love my mum, like, how do I make this? And my mother, alhamdulillah, may Allah reward her. She really helped me just kind of learn how to make keema and stuff like that, make mincemeat. So obviously, it wasn't eating too well. When I came back in March, I moved in October. End of October. I came back in March for my first time to see my family. My family looked at me, saying, "What's happened to you?" My face was like this.
Okay.
I had probably lost close to 5 or 6 kilos in weight. My family were a little bit worried. Alhamdulillah, I seen my family. I reconnected with my friends. Just kind of really appreciated because when I came back, I really just seen that nothing's changed in Manchester.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing their own thing. The people who are doing good are in their own ways. The people who are still on the streets doing the bad, they're I won't say doing bad, but in their own journey, they're doing their thing. Alhamdulillah, I'm in a blessed position, Bilal. Be grateful for it. So when I went back, my mentality was different. I said, Bilal, Allah's given you this opportunity. Don't be ungrateful.
Yeah.
Started looking at the positives. Alhamdulillah, look, in my head, not in a way of arrogance, but in a way of like, Bilal, you're 21, you're living in Dubai, you look out your window, people would dream for this, You got Burj Khalifa there, you got Burj Al Arab on your balcony. Alhamdulillah, like, be grateful for this. And through that, I started accepting. Then I said, Bilal, your health, look at you, eat better. Allah's given you a bit of extra income, spend it on good food. Started eating a couple of steaks, stuff, that will basically be good for me. Steaks, water, all the good stuff to help kind of fuel myself. Started going gym again, paid for a gym membership. Started going to the gym, started going out in the evenings, socializing, going to the masjid. And then I was like, I'm actually enjoying this now. You know, so obviously I made that friendship with my brother in Dubai, and that really helped me. That kind of brotherhood, having someone there who's basically someone else's son who's living in a country on his own, and I'm a mother's son living in a country on my own.
Yeah.
We are so much similar, and now have become best friends.
Of course, yeah.
Alhamdulillah for that. And even till today, I still speak to him. I even, you know, he knows who he is. He's a very close brother of mine. And through that kind of brotherhood, through that element of being grateful for what Allah has given me, and just what my father said, sabr. Alhamdulillah, things got better. Started to achieve the goals that I went out there for, you know. So alhamdulillah, 6 months, my mental health definitely was not the best, but it was challenged. But the guidance of obviously my parents and friends, and obviously staying close to, like, you know, ensuring like I'm praying my salah. That's the most important thing, reading Quran, and finding peace within, you know, ibadah. That definitely helped me.
And you know, you're 21, you moved out, you only had £200, and you did say you went from a boy to a man.
Yes.
You know, when I was young growing up, from the age of 18, when I had my first job, working in factories, warehousing, right? I did that whilst at the same time I was doing university, right? But all the money that I was making wasn't a lot of money. It was physical labor, and I would just spend it. You know, I'd spend it on clothes, I'd spend it on whatever, right? But it wasn't anything where I thought long term that I'm going to save that a little bit of money, even though it was £150, £200, whatever it may be each week. I would never ever understand that even though it's little, I could have even saved a bit of that, and it would have made a difference, if you know what I mean.
100%.
So the fact that, you know, you were 21, you only had £200. What was your relationship with money like before you went?
I'm not gonna lie, I've never been someone who's a crazy spender. My father always taught me to, taught me the basics of like saving. Taught me the principle of being accountable for your money. Alhamdulillah, I'll tell you another story. Me and my boy, in Manchester we say the boys, the boys meaning my friendship, my guys who I've grown up with, my close friends. We've always been those type of guys who always look to save money. And so what we used to do, we all used to get, food money for school, and used to load it into your card or your finger scanning machine. And what we used to do, so one guy would load his card, the other guys would save their money. So when we all used to go for lunch, one guy who had the money on his finger, he would obviously pay for the food. We'd all share that food. Yeah. When we would go home, not every day, some days, we would go, there used to be a little pizza shop, and we used to get a cheeseburger and chips, and there's about 3 or 4 of us, and one of us would go to the convenience store, get a big energy drink, and again that would be like £4 for all of that in those days. And we used to tell the guy who's cooking our food, bro, cut it in 4 pieces. We would share the food and walk home.
Really?
And then we would share the drink while walking home. We wanted to save money. And you know what, because we were so into cricket, with the money that we used to save, we used to go and pay for cricket nets in Lancashire County Cricket Club, or we would use that money elsewhere, alhamdulillah, the relationship with money was that we were never crazy spenders. We just used to live within our means. And that was something that, again, all of our individual parents taught us. But alhamdulillah, as friends, we used to apply that to our lives. And one thing that I did is strengthen our brotherhood. We still talk about these things still today. Me and my friend used to walk to Winslow Road and back in the rain, just to go get a milkshake from Moonlight. I don't know if you've heard of Moonlight. It's a very old kind of a dessert shop. So we used to go there, £2. that money that we saved from school, we'd go get £2 milkshake and walk back. Sometimes in the rain. Alhamdulillah, and he's my best friend. I've got a lot of love for him. And these kind of, experiences, they obviously strengthened my relationship with money, because I was always accountable for what I spend. And we all started working from a young age. So from the age of 16, I've been working. Me and my best friend, my closest brother, we used to work in the airport together. And we used to work in WH Smith's. And it was, obviously, 16 hours a week contract, 8 hours a week, you're working on the weekends, save whatever money. And me and my friend, through that money, bro, it wasn't a glamorous job, putting out stocks, taking the rubbish out in the cold, in the sleet, whatever the weather, but it was halal. You know, Allah always will have barakah in money that is earned the halal way. Through the little money we used to earn on the weekends throughout college, and me and my friend, we actually went on holiday to Dubai. And this was like, it was unheard of at the time, you know. I think, how old were we? 17, 18?
Super young, yeah.
Super young.
No one does that, yeah.
Yeah. Went to Dubai, man. I've got to show you pictures after the podcast, you know, of the trip we had.
Yeah.
We had such a good time. You know, even till today we talk about these trips. And it's like, I feel like my friends were a big factor in my growth. We learned a lot through each other. We all went through our own individual difficult times. But going back to your question about your relationship with money, whatever my father taught me and whatever experiences I had with my friends and the concepts of being accountable and living within your means, that formed my relationship with money.
Right.
Alhamdulillah, I would say it was quite positive.
No, that's good. That's good to hear. And what advice would you give to the guys then that are watching this in terms of just to save and they've got a poor relationship with money?
100%. First thing, live within your means. You are accountable for every penny you spend. Now, I'm not saying to people, don't spend your money. Yeah, I'm saying if there's value in what you're wanting to spend on, then khair, spend on it. But there's a lot of ways you can, one advice I'd actually give, and this is one thing that my father again taught me, my parents, and my mother. My mother and my father say, never underestimate the giving of sadaqah, so charity, be that zakah, sadaqah, lillah, whatever it may be, because whenever you give, maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even in this dunya, Allah will give you tenfold. So, wherever, for example, this is an advice, so you're more than welcome to, do what you want with it, of course, inshallah. But my advice is, if you earn £100, make sure you try and give. When you give, Allah will give you more. And this was one of the principles of what I was taught as a child, and what I want to teach my children, inshallah. And the other thing is, don't be greedy. Just don't. Greed will kill your wealth. Through my life, I work with, alhamdulillah, a lot of brothers who are very successful. And may Allah give them more.
Ameen.
But the one thing they always say is that, they even ask me, do you think there's one brother, he goes, he's having a conversation with somebody, and then the conversation finished, and he goes, Bilal, do you think I'm being greedy? And I go, look bro, if you're asking me for my honest advice, then we had the conversation, whatever I had with him. But look, this is someone who is a multimillionaire. He's got, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed him with wealth. And the one thing that I learned from him, even he fears being greedy. So again, it's a lesson I took from that as well, is that whenever you feel greed is creeping into your heart, step away.
Yeah.
Step away. In this world of, the online platforms of I don't know, say stocks, crypto, whatever, the current environment, where do people lose their money? They get greedy. So, that's my advice. One is, everything you do for the sake of Allah. Second, don't be greedy. Third, be accountable. And fourth, do your best to give. Give from your wealth, whatever that may be, give with it. And I think they're the four principles that I would always like to follow myself. And everything that I say is a reminder for myself first. And then whatever, you can take away from this, I hope, inshallah, it's only positive.
No, amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
It's really good, because I think a lot of people need to really understand the value of money and have a good relationship with money. It could be very toxic, and again, you could be spending it, right, but at the same time, or you could be very greedy where you're also keeping it to yourself and not thinking about giving in charity.
Yes, it is. And the one thing I want to say is something that tickles me a little bit is, and I see it, and I there's 2 points. One thing is, always assume the best for your brother. This is the first point, and it will lead on to the second point. And always make dua for your brother. Even Musa alayhi salam made dua for his brother Harun alayhi salam. Hence why Harun alayhi salam then became a prophet. If you're interested, listen to Surah Taha. The second point that I want to mention, going off from the first part, is whenever you give charity, the principle of giving is if you give with your right hand, your left hand shouldn't know. Yeah, and the one thing that I see that I feel people should work on is, I know a lot of people, like I say, they put it on social media to inspire people to give charity. You know, you might see these videos where people will give somebody food and give somebody, you know, you see, oh, they go to a worker and they give him $500. Now, obviously the action's great, but, you know, the way I understand and my relationship with giving charity is that you shouldn't do it for the people, the world to see. Do it for the sake of Allah, you know? That's what my advice is. But again, I always want to assume the best of my brothers and make dua for all of my brothers, the way Musa alayhi salam made dua for his brother Harun alayhi salam, that maybe he's doing it to inspire people. And these are all little topics that as a community, irrespective of religion and creed and culture, these are all basic principles on one of the biggest messages that I have to anyone listening to this podcast is to be a good person. Ultimate humanity, you know, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I really like that because I've been thinking about this quite a bit. You know, before I started the business, Mumkin, where 20% of profits goes to charity, you know, I was debating with myself quite a bit also, and exactly what you said is, you know, I'm giving to charity. It's a very personal, intimate action, yeah? So for me to now outright say that this is what I'm doing and I'm going to be doing this, because there's a lot of people, by the way, are giving 100% to charity, right? And they are doing this, by the way. And I've had conversations with shopkeepers that are doing this. So they'll still make sure that they maintain their shops, their bills and everything like that.
Course, yeah.
But everything else left over, they're doing that. And they say that it just stays between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right?
100%.
And it was quite interesting hearing, you know, a lot of those conversations. But again, in my case, I'm doing it for the sole purpose of, which is what you're saying, is to inspire. So if I'm now, you know, giving the 20% of profits to charity, I'll be transparent and be able to show, you know, everyone that what projects we've worked on, what projects we've had successes on. Again, it's a very new business, so we've only been about, you know, less than a year now. But inshallah, now I'm wearing the MATW hoodie, as you can see.
Yes, mashallah.
But the plan is to, inshallah, like, there's a lot of things happening on a global scale, and you know, us in general need to come together and try to give as much help and aid as possible, right? So to a certain degree, be intimate, but also I don't know, man. It's the back and forth of how much or how much can we share to maybe if I'm able to be out there to be like, you know, let's give in charity. If you buy a product, you give more money in charity. The links are there. I don't know. Does it have a positive effect?
Look, bro, to answer that in the most open way, and I don't wish, you know, viewers who are watching this is not a way to upset anybody. It's just, I think the next point will help everyone understand, you know, why I have this thought process and why whatever you do it for the sake of Allah. Because one hadith that has stuck with me throughout my life, from studying in madrasa days to now, is قال Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Actions are according to intentions. And, you know, whatever you do, the only person besides yourself who knows your intention is who? Allah. So it's, again, intimate. If you're saying, like, I want to do this to inspire people, and truly, you know, in your heart, is to inspire people, Allah knows that. And whatever action you do for the sake of Allah and with a good intention, I promise you, through the will of Allah, the outcome will be 10 times even better and positive. So, you know, always go back. It all depends on what's in your heart and your intention that only you and Allah know. I can never judge anybody. I just need to focus on being better myself. So viewers, if you have, you know, listened to my message, I hope this little ending kind of concludes what I want to say. Always assume the best of your brothers. Do everything for the sake of Allah. And your intention is the most important. Hence why there's such a strong hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam obviously mentioned in as you know, a guidance for us. So yeah, that's the most prominent bit. And your intention in all aspects of life, not just in charity, in business, looking at it in the perspective of family, looking at it in a perspective of you know, your akhlaq, your mannerism. There's a lot of ways, and ultimately, you know, your intention is everything. When you pray salah, what's the first thing? intention, niyyah, is the most important. And may Allah give us all the ability and give us all the guidance to have a good intention, and everything that we do is for the sake of Allah and for the sake of betterment as well, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, so now you're 23. You've become, let's say, a man. You've come back to the UK. What's your journey been like then? Were you always then? Did you go back into a job?
Yeah, that was living the high life to then coming back.
Right.
So when I came back, I was unemployed. I lived the great life in Dubai, fancy, eating at the nice restaurants, alhamdulillah. Very good experience. And then coming home, back to my family home, and being unemployed, trying to find a job. All the money you have saved up, you're eating into it, right?
Of course, yeah.
So you start meeting the boys, you have more free time, you go out, you chill, you're spending money. And I said, right, at this point, my parents are like, you want to get married? You're a man now, yeah? So alhamdulillah, after 6 months, I found a job working in private medical insurance, just doing your basic kind of medical claims. Alhamdulillah. Started off like as an assistant role, then went into a case manager role. The case manager role actually came about when my marriage got fixed. So alhamdulillah, Allah provides your rizq, right? So alhamdulillah, through completing one of the sunnahs and completing half of my deen, Allah obviously gave me the means of rizq by giving me a promotion, alhamdulillah. Thereafter, I left that job. When I left that job, I went onto a role as a musculoskeletal clinician, bit of a mouthful, but it's a bit more of an advanced job where you're utilizing your skill set a little bit more, again in another private setting. In this transitional period, I'm getting bored of the corporate life, personally. I'm not fulfilled, I'm not happy. So I spoke to my wife and I said to her, I want to do something different. The whole idea of Shifa came around, Shifa rehabilitation. And alhamdulillah, we started working on that. Slowly, building Instagram, social media, a couple of videos, locally, just within local area, not even outskirts of Manchester, talking just Old Trafford.
Yeah, just before we get into that, because there's so many people that are watching this that have an idea, have a business idea, but you're in that job, you're bored of it, you've got a family though to look after, right? You might just be your spouse, but you still have someone to look after, right? It's your responsibility. So it's not a case where you're going to be able to leave something and you're going in this world of entrepreneurship, right, or business. So how was it going from I've got an idea and I'm going to action it? What made you, or why were you confident that I've got the tools to be successful in what I want to do?
Look, this is actually just something personal within me. My mindset from a young age, if I want to do something, besides the will of Allah, there's nothing that's going to stop me from achieving what I want to achieve. It's that kind of mind frame. Always been competitive, always. Sports and, being a young lad, a lot of testosterone, going through the stages of puberty. I always, what's stopping me from achieving it? Belief. Besides that, what else is the action? So if I want to do something, I believe in Allah, tawakkul. I believe that whatever is best for me, Allah will give to me. But then I take the action, then of course it will happen. Intentions are good, leave everything to Allah, work hard, a work ethic, discipline, all these cores that you need to have. I said to my wife, I already believed in myself that this, inshallah, with the will of Allah, will be a success. And inshallah, may Allah bless the business more, and inshallah we expand even more, inshallah. But yeah, it was more so just the element of belief and knowing that, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Of course.
What is the worst that can happen? I can always revert back to a job if needed.
Yeah.
But I never thought that would ever be the case, but worst case scenario, khair, I have something that I can fall back. Secondly, I knew myself within myself, I have a lot more to give. I have a lot more developed skill set. And I was just, as a Muslim and as a young lad, you have to be hungry to do well. You have to have that hunger within you. Some people are happy, doing a job. There's nothing wrong with that. Alhamdulillah. But I just knew there's more to my life. I used to look at the long term, like where do I see myself? Working up the corporate ladder? It's not something for me. I have a lot more. I have a lot more to give. And inshallah, let's do it. Just said, Bismillah, let's do it.
Do people support you though? You know, the people around you, because you know, that's fine. You've got the intention. You've got you've got the ability to have that action and work hard for it. But the people around you, were they there to push you? Did they come from a business world, or was it just you that started this?
So my family, as in my parents and my siblings, not many people in my family did business. I was probably one of the second people or third people to do business in my family. Whereas on the other hand, my wife's family, they came from a business background.
Okay.
So my wife, alhamdulillah, she, you know, may Allah reward her, she's always been great to me. She's always supported me, and she said, Bilal, I believe you can do anything put your mind to, as long as you do it with good intentions. And my parents were the same. My parents have always supported me in anything that I've done, alhamdulillah. Same with my siblings. And they go, Bilal, no, you can do it. And so I had a very good support system, you know. The one thing I will say is I was very, very calculated. It was advice from my father-in-law. Calculate your risks, son. You know, your risk to reward. Anytime you make a decision, calculate it. Don't over-calculate it, but calculate it. So the way I transitioned was I went from doing full-time in the corporate jobs to the evenings, going out and seeing a couple of clients. Once I started seeing the numbers pick up and I seen, you know, I'm getting busier, I then went part-time with that full-time job, and then part-time, more hours on Shifa. June, what year was it now? My daughter was born in this year, I can't forget. Joke. So in June, so I started Shifa in June 2023. I had my daughter in April, alhamdulillah. And in June, I said, you know, now's the time.
Yeah.
Bismillah.
When you had
Full
your
time, let's go.
daughter,
Yeah.
you went full time.
So when I had my daughter in April, after 3 months, I went full time with Shifa. I resigned from my corporate job, and I went full time.
What was
with
the
Shifa.
link between the two?
I don't know.
Was there a link, having a daughter and then straight away starting a business?
100%. You know, like they say, any child, daughter or son, you know, with them comes their rizq. I used to worry about this. I used to worry about it, honestly. When I knew my wife, we're going to have a child, in my head, I'm like, right, okay. Okay. You know, father, you know yourself, bro. You know what I mean?
100%.
MashaAllah, like, you think, right, okay, next stage is now. And there was just that, the one thing I will say, it was, one, the calculations, I knew on paper that I can now actually take this business full time. It will pay for my bills, it will pay for this, and I will give me more time going from part-time to now full-time, then I can actually make more, you know, as a business, and I can grow this. The second thing was my instinct, the gut feeling inside me. I said, nah, this is the time, and you just go and do it. Bismillah, for the sake of Allah, go and do it.
Yeah.
And I just went and did it. I remember I handed in my resignation. I made an announcement video on my Instagram.
Okay.
And everyone was like, you know, so happy for you. Because they've seen, people who have, you know, watched my page from the beginning, they've seen the growth. And the growth is only this much. Inshallah, with the will of Allah, we've got a long way to go yet. But that was the pivotal point for me. I had my daughter. I just felt in my heart the time was right. I did mashwara with my parents, my wife, and, you know, Bismillah.
And how was it managing the two together? Because, you know, you're doing the job, and then, you know, if you've got a side hustle at that point, before it becomes a full-time thing, you need to put in a lot of hours.
Oh, yeah.
But you're married too at the same time. And, you know, expecting, so you're going to have a daughter, right? So
very challenging.
And yeah, so giving that quality time, giving your job a quality time, I'm sure in your job you're thinking about your business.
Of course. Yeah. I feel it was a very challenging point to, you know, make sure I'm giving everyone the time and the business the time. The main thing was prioritization. Prioritizing, you know, when I'm focusing on my business, is solely business. The support of my family and my spouse was a big factor in that, because they knew if Bilal's working, don't disturb him. Whereas when I came home to my family, it was, right, focus on family, focus on making sure my wife's okay. Her needs are taken care of. My parents are okay. Their needs are taken care of. My siblings, I give them their right, because everyone has their hukuk, right? Everyone has their rights. So again, that's your responsibility as a man. You have to manage that. Be that time management, be that obviously communication, be that, you know, actually just managing your logistically where you're at. And these are things that, it's development, it's character development and skill development. So these are the things, I'm not going to say it was easy. And I used to still train at this point as well. I used to go to the gym. So one of the biggest things that came into my life in terms of something that someone told me, and then I acted upon that, was live your life by the sunnah. Wake up at Fajr, pray your Fajr. Me and my little brother used to go to the gym, then come back and pray Fajr. So we used to wake up at 4 a.m, come back, pray Fajr, I'd do my day job. I would obviously on lunch break, I would obviously eat, nap, pray your Salah, Zuhr time. Asr, Maghrib, by the time before Maghrib I'd finish work, my day job. Spend some time at home. My wife would come home, spend time with her, pray Maghrib, and then go to work as my side hustle. At this point, yeah. Go and then work maybe 1 or 2 clients. Nothing crazy, obviously. And I've been up since 4 a.m. now. So go and then pray your Isha, do your work, come home by 10 o'clock, sleep. Bro, like this for a year and a half. That was my cycle. Prioritization. Then obviously in that period, my wife obviously then was expecting, and that changes. But again, prioritization. Really focusing on putting what's the most important first at that time. This comes with time as well.
Yeah.
But, you learn this skill with over time, and I'm still better in trying to better that. Now there's different dynamics. I've got my own child, alhamdulillah.
Mm-hmm.
Business obviously is, alhamdulillah, it's full time now, so it's a different sketch. You want to have meetings with marketing teams. You want to have meetings with people who want to do like longer term plans, or who want to, there's different avenues now basically. Travel, which has been a big part of my life for the most part of last year and now. So there's a lot of, and this is always going to be a constant challenge. You'll never get it right, I would say. But there are ways to find the people say, find the balance. I always say to find the middle ground, but it will always change with time.
Yeah, and when did it happen that you transitioned from, obviously side hustle, going to a business, and then working with global clients, or clients are well known, but high reputation, world-class athletes? How did that happen?
The one thing I always say to anybody, I get a lot of DMs from aspiring therapists or therapists who are studying. I always say, focus on your craft. Yeah, there's no, take away social media, take away, all the outlets that we have to market, so to say. What are you known for? What did people know me for, Bilal, as a sports rehabilitation therapist? But ultimately, why would people then come to me? Because I want to be known to have the reputation that when people come to me with a problem, physical, be that a knee injury, post-op, whatever it may be, I help them come out of that. It's the results. It's a service, but the main thing is the results-based service. People are only going to come back to me if I'm providing results. I actually had this conversation that we have with the client who I seen this morning before I came down to Birmingham. And I said, at the end of the day, you can have the fanciest marketing. You can have the fanciest strategies for, generating leads. If the quality of your product or your service is not up to par, there's no longevity within your business. And, how did that then become something that I started working with, some of the great brothers who are athletes and doing great things in their respective careers? It's because of that reputation. Because the word of mouth, word of mouth is the best form of marketing, right? You get, you network, you meet people, you show people what you're about, your skill set. Once those people start benefiting from you, they're then going to tell the next person. And that happens. You grow out. There's a lot of brothers who have supported me. I'm very grateful to them. They all know who they are, who are watching this, giving me shout outs, connecting me with people. And then on the flip side, I knew that, like I say, when I say to the DMs that I get from therapists, I say, focus on developing your skill set first. That's the bread and butter. Have your bread and butter first solid, because in this line of work, it's continuous evolution. Science tells you something new every day. The vibe or the best treatment 10 years ago, now they talk down on that treatment. So it's constant evolution, science, everything's developing. So you have to stay on top of that. So, like for example, when you sprain your ankle when you used to play football on the AstroTurf and you were in primary school, you would sprain it. What would it say? Put ice on it.
Ice on it, yeah.
What did it say now? Ice is not good. It kills and inhibits the healing process. So you have to constantly evolve as a therapist, constantly learn, stay on top of the new practices. And this, that's why I'm saying to them, always stay on top of your trade. Always develop. Even me till today, I will study. Dedicated time to studying, learning what's new. Learning the market, learning about regenerative medicine, peptides, PRP. Also then looking at newer ways to rehab. What is a more optimal way to work with a footballer or an MMA fighter to help him get back to sport? What is the current return to sport protocol? Really but truly it's individual. It depends on the person, the positions they play, their dynamics. But yeah, that's a different topic. But yeah, the essence of what I'm trying to say is, one, you can have the fanciest marketing strategies, but to create longevity in your business, your product or service has to be solid from front end to back end.
Yeah.
So, that's the main thing. And I don't know if I've gone off on a bit of a tangent compared to what your question was, but it's just a bit of advice. What I've learned over my career. This is my 11th year as a therapist. I started treating people from the age of 18. I am now 29. I probably look older because of my hair. but it's something that I've learned over the years. And never ever forget your bread and butter. That is the key.
Do you also think that, there's so many people that are working jobs at the moment, they want to do a business, but I don't know, but they just want to do the business because of the time freedom, right? And it might not even be something that they're interested in, but they still want to go into that. So in your case, you actually like what you're doing. So for you to say that, I'm learning all about peptides, to most of us, that's boring, right? But for you, it's, I love this.
Yeah.
And, and because of that, you're able to work with all these people. But how do you, first thing is, how do you portray that? And yeah, answer that question.
The best way to portray it is by being yourself and being real, brother. Yeah. There's no, I never, I never like to, I think the way to portray it is by acting upon it. If for you to just, like you said, we've met, you've understood from just conversation that I'm very passionate about what I do.
Yeah, of course.
Because I am passionate about what I do.
Yeah.
That the way I portray it is by when people talk to me, there's a love for it. And that love for it is that, one, it's I am helping people better their life. That's the most beautiful thing about what I do, is that you're helping people get into better positions, physical health, general health, mental health, everything, And when people see me and they have the conversation to me, they're like, yo, it's crazy how into it you are, even after, 11 years. It's crazy. And I'm like, bro, it's just, I just enjoy. And why I enjoy this? Should I tell you? Because why I love science so much, because everything about it just reminds me of the greatness of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's always been, sometimes I learn things, I'm sat there in awe, like, subhanallah,
yeah,
subhanallah, and, it's just, I always relate it back to that. And I feel like I have I don't say a responsibility, but I feel like I'm putting my business out there. I'm using, one of the names of Allah to, represent my business, being Shifa. Obviously, it comes from Al-Shafi, one of the 99 names. And I feel like I have that responsibility and equally have that passion for it. If I don't, the day I stop enjoying this, I'll pack it up.
What's one thing that you've learned from, working with like world-class athletes, right? Top performers, they're probably making millions. What do they all have common traits? What do they have? Are they all similar?
Irrespective of religion, irrespective of background, irrespective of culture. One thing that I can say they all have, and I'm not going to say all, I'm going to say the ones who are at the highest level, doing the best, the ones that people talk about. Discipline. That's what they have. They 100% have discipline and a burning desire to be the best at what they do. They wake up on a mission. There's no there's no like side quests. Like, I want to be the best. That's it. And now when we take away religion, and then I talk specifically about some of the Muslim athletes that I work with, the strongest thing that they have, as well as discipline, is sheer belief in Allah's plan. Tawakkul. That's it. Trust me, some of the brothers that I work with, may Allah give them endless success. May Allah protect them. And may they, whatever work they do, may it be for good. May there be khair in it. And there's one thing that I always learn from that, and it always baffles me, bro. These guys are so disciplined in all aspects of life. And that's key. In business as well, it's key. Discipline, you know, and it's very important.
And I'll be honest with you, I like to relate it back to the viewers watching, because you're explaining your field. You're only 29, and you've worked with so many different people, so world-class athletes. So for them to get that insight is really good. So for all the viewers watching, they want to be like this. They want to be like the world-class athletes, right?
Yeah.
Not athletes, performers, right? They want to be in the top 1%. But at the moment right now, their life's the total opposite. Exactly what you spoke about, discipline, hard work. They don't have that. Can you learn that? Can you get that as a skill? And how would they go about doing that?
I feel like, the best way to go about it is to be critical of yourself. Assess yourself, Look at your life. Where am I good? Where am I not so good? Where can I actually improve on? How do I make what I'm good at better? And how do I make what I need to improve on? How do I actually improve on it?
Yeah.
Create a plan, right? When you start a business, you create a business plan. When you start training, what do? You have a training plan. So plan. How are you gonna get better? Then you put the necessary means in place in order to do that. You're struggling with sleep. What do? There's so much science that tells you stop looking at your phones at this time.
Blue lights.
You know what I mean? Stop drinking water at X time. I'm not saying it to the book. I'm just giving a general. Stop eating at this time. Use that kind of information that you have and apply it to your life. That's key. I used to struggle with sleep. I used to be just like everybody else. Like I was saying everybody else. I was saying like majority of people who are probably watching this and have this issue. You eat late. With desi, we have a cup of cha in the evening, biscuits. Jar biscuit is one of them, right?
Man.
You know what I mean, bro? So
Yeah.
and then we go into bed, stomach's full, man.
Of course, yeah.
We're scrolling TikTok. You want from one video to the next video. Look at the time, subhanallah, it's 2 a.m. So yeah, it's like I say, create a plan. Understand where you need to get better, understand where you're good, and use the information that's out there. There's a lot of good within social media as well, right? And within the internet and the vessels that we have to gain information. So create a plan, and then anytime, obviously adhere to that plan. That's where your discipline comes in. One day, you don't do it according to, you go sleep a little bit later. Khalas. Be very self-critical and acknowledge and be accountable for that. And then tomorrow, you focus on improving that. It's just the way we do rehab plans. We are constantly assessing where to get better to help us get to that end goal. And as an individual, the end goal, it's up to you where that is. You want to be a successful business. When you get there, you'll have another goal. So it's constantly evolving yourself, bettering your skill set, becoming more disciplined within yourself. Now, as a Muslim, Islam, the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the blueprint for us to do that. Just the way when I started Shifa, my goal was, how do I create my routine? I time my day around the salah, everything, and there's so much more that I don't want, I could talk about it for days, right? But there's so much more that we can do about it. But if you just look at, the guidances that we have when it comes to sleep, when it comes to even simple things like sit and drink water, sit on the floor and eat. Do you know why that is? To sit on the floor and eat? To prevent us from overeating. When we sit, and I think there was actually a study done on this, I don't want to quote it incorrectly, but the essence of it, when we sit, our stomach shortens. So what does that prevent? Stops us from overeating, right?
Yeah.
So look, there's hikmah, Islam, the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hadith, the teachings that we have is there to actually show us how to live a good and healthy life. Go for a walk after your food, stuff like this, sleeping on time, And, the point was, and a lot of these, like I said, social media, there's a lot of good in social media. It just depends how we use it and how we take it. I personally, and I'll be honest, I learn a lot from social media. There's so many great scholars, great doctors, people of knowledge. Obviously, there's so much outlets to learn from Quran, learn the meanings of the Quran, learning different stories. You could probably go on social media and TikTok and learn how to perform Umrah. It's a lot of good within it. It's on us how we kind of use it. So it's a big thing in this day and age, social media. I market my business through social media. There's good and bad within it, but at the end, it's your intention as to what you want to gain from it. And as long as whatever you do, the intention is that you want to gain or give and have what we call khair, meaning goodness, within it, then I promise you the outcomes will always be good. Be that you learn something physically, be that you might memorize a verse of the Quran, be that you learn a new exercise to do, be that you learn something about the body, you have like optimal ways to improve your sleep. There's so much good, both deen and dunya, on social media. It just depends on how you utilize it. But who's the biggest I should say, distraction? The waswasa, right? The shaitan. You start going and you're looking at this and you're looking at that, and next thing you know, you've got this and that, and may Allah protect us from it. But it's good. I know, this day and age, there's a lot of good within it, but equally, there are ways we can go off track as well. And may Allah protect us from going off track.
There's a lot of there's consumption and production, right? So on social media. So people like yourselves, you'll be looking at it, trying to get ideas, trying to make your business better, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be posting loads of new things, probably from learning from other people, or you could be your own idea, right?
Yeah.
And you take inspiration, but again, you're working probably on your own business. Again, there is a lot of aspect where the element of deen is in there. A lot of people reciting, a lot of sheikhs reciting the Quran. You could learn so much hadith. So there's the stories.
Yes,
However, if I'm honest with you, if I'm on social media and I will see it, and I'll be there for like even 5 minutes, but I'll just be scrolling. And if you ask me after that, has it been a positive effect or a negative effect? No matter what, even if I'm looking at something positive, I personally feel like, I don't feel good about myself to a certain degree. By that I mean, I just feel like I've spent 5 minutes or whatever time, and I haven't really spent that, because I haven't done any actions, if you get what I mean. It's good to listen. Of course it is. It's very beneficial to listen. But at the same time, I feel like most people would be consuming content just because they don't want to put in any action, if that makes sense. And that's 80% of you. Does that make sense what I mean?
Understand your point. Yeah, I understand it.
Again, listening to Quran, of course, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's a good point. And I feel like it's very, I don't know, if you say to me like, you don't feel good in looking at social media or scrolling, I'm sometimes quite the opposite. Sometimes, I'll, do what I need to do, pray everything that's my obligations for the day, I'll do. And in the evening, I might sit and I might just scroll, and next thing you know, you got Qari Ayyub Asif, you got Idris, you got Shaikh Mishari, you've got all these recitations coming, and I enjoy it because the way I look at it is that it brings me closer to the Quran. I'm getting, inshallah, with the right intention, I'm getting reward for this. But I do get, on the same hand, is, I think one of the points we used earlier is prioritization, right? You can prioritize, what you prioritize, you're going to sit there, you can obviously listen to the Quran, but you could also read the Quran, You could obviously see business advice on someone's page on how to scale your business, or you can go read a book. But I think personally, I don't think there's a right and wrong, because again, everyone's their own individual. I personally am I don't know how to say it, like an audio listener.
You prefer the
audio
listening
and visual,
rather than reading itself, yeah.
I can't concentrate when I read a book.
Yeah,
Quran
course,
is different
yeah.
because I've got a different,
Different relationship with
different
earphones,
relationship. But if you were to tell me to read a book, I promise you I'll be reading 1-2 pages and then khalas, man's fast asleep.
Yeah, you know what? You actually answered the question, because the first thing that you actually said was you've completed your day by doing your work, and then you go on social media.
Yes.
And you know what? That's what I was trying to get to, because the question, I might not worded it right, but it's doom scrolling, and you're not doing that like during your day, or you know what I mean? Once you've got clients, this, that, right?
Bro, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at my phone and I've not even realized that I've not even responded to so many messages, let alone looking and scrolling on Instagram.
And I think that's, again, for the viewers, where we need to make sure that if we are on our phones, we're using it to the best of our ability, to our strengths, but making sure that the day is for us to conquer, right? To make the most of it. And of course, there's going to be social media, there's going to be a lot of good content on there, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be thinking that because I'm watching the good content out there, I've succeeded in that day. That's the difference. I think that's the biggest difference.
I think, whatever you do, there has to be an essence of a strong outcome of fulfillment of the day. Every day, your goal should be, when I finish the day, what have I achieved? What steps have I took to move forward? If you can look at every single day before you sleep, and you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, I've done this today to move forward in a positive direction, be that for myself in a, whatever area I want to develop in, then well done.
Yeah.
Then go to sleep, have your time. There's, make sure whatever time you have, you're taking good energy from it. Not all the viewers today might be a Muslim, and I don't want to just focus on, but obviously I am a Muslim, hence why. But you can use these examples in all aspects of your life. If you want to then go and look at ways to scale your business on TikTok, I guarantee you'll probably come out with some ideas. It's application of that knowledge to your situation. So, main thing is, conquer your day, as I say, conquer your day. Make sure you've ticked those boxes of what you want to achieve, and khalas, whatever spare time you have, switch off. Do what you're doing. For a lot of people, that will be going to the gym, but that is also a positive. You're bettering your physical health, your mental health. You're looking after yourself. It's very good. It's actually part of making your day more. What's that one word? It's not coming to my head.
Productive, is it?
Productive. So that's the one. So it's like, always make sure you're filling your cup, and that's the most important thing that I say to people. With myself, it's obviously I have to see my clients, make sure they're okay, updating their plans, booking in new clients. From there, obviously making sure, accounting's all good. Then looking at, how do I grow this business? How do I scale this business? So there's a lot to it. But then, that half an hour where I might have, when my daughter's tucked away in bed, alhamdulillah, and, my wife is just chilling, I'm just chilling, having my cup of tea or whatever it may be, I might just have half an hour. And, recently I just, when I was doing this, I found a new, I wouldn't say I found a new, but I heard a Quran reciter who recited one of the surahs that I first ever learned by heart, and he recited it in the most beautiful way. And it brought me a lot of peace. And that's productive. Why? Because, okay, I've used the outlet, but what has it done? It's brought me peace. I feel better. And alhamdulillah, always look at the positive gains in everything. There will always be negative. There will always be negative.
What's your relationship between making money and also being in the best physical shape? So going to the gym, is there a correlation there?
I feel like it's 50-50, bro. I'm going to be honest. I know people who are not in shape who have got a load of wealth, but I also know guys who are incredibly in shape and they have all the wealth as well. But what good is your wealth if, it's not going to contribute to your health? Do you know what I mean? What would you rather be? Someone, let's put 2 and 2, 50-year-old multimillionaire, multiple businesses, multiple assets, property, X, Y, and Z, whatever the worldly gains are, but you're in fantastic shape, no health conditions. Why? It maybe took you a little bit longer to get to this. You're 50 years old, later stages of your life now. For a lot of people, that's not late. Okay, just to give an example. What would you rather? That, and your health is well, everything's good, and you can enjoy your wealth, or a 30-year-old millionaire, you've not looked after yourself. You've got a host of conditions, heart disease, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, all the money you have, but you can't enjoy it. You can't have children, for example, because of your health conditions. No one wants to marry you because you don't look in shape. I'm being honest. It's a true matter. You know, people, I'm going to talk about this dunya and how it is. They all play factors, but you have all the money. You never know, people might marry you because of the money. Khair, different topic, you know. But what would you rather? Would you rather play the long game or the short game?
Long game always, yeah.
100%. And I actually learned this from one of my clients who's in incredible shape. Allahumma barik, may Allah protect him. He's turned his life upside down. He was in prison. He had a very wrong road, but he played the long game. He said, okay, if it takes me longer. He told me this story. This is a true story. I had this conversation with him. And he goes, I said, you know what? I'd rather be like that 50-year-old who's got my health, because without your health, there is nothing. What do you want to do, man? You don't want to play with your kids? You don't want to take them? You don't want to be able to play on the trampoline? Of course, man. And, there's no such, I wouldn't say there's no such thing as balance. And in one of my previous podcasts, I did say that there's no such thing as balance. But I feel since my daughter's grown, and this is the development and growth within myself, I feel like you can strive to have some form of a balance. But that will always change. My balance today might be, what I've planned out will be very different to the balance when I have, for example, 2 children. To the balance that I have when I have 4 staff. It's going to be very different, you know what I mean? So, you have to be able to continuously develop yourself and develop your skill set and develop your ability to not just scale your business, but scale the way you think.
Of course.
That's key. And again, these are things that I'm working on. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Inshallah, with the will of Allah, we'll get to where we want to get to, slowly but surely. But again, these are just things that I say to people like, there is a correlation. There is no direct correlation between, how much money you make and your health, but there will be a correlation between how that can serve you in the future. But that being said, if you look at majority of people who are fitness individuals who are wealthy individuals, I guarantee they will always have some, besides that maybe 20% who doesn't. The majority of people who I know who are wealthy, they always make sure they look after themselves. Why? Because that adds into their cup and how they can then improve their wealth, improve their businesses, improve their mental, improve their productivity. So, my question to the viewers is what would you rather? Out of those 2 examples, what would you rather? My answer is clear. Your answer is clear.
Of course, on the same.
Your answer is clear. So, what do you want out of your life? That is the actual thing. Without health, there's nothing. I know people, and I've had conversations, who are millionaires, probably even billionaires. I promise you, these guys, they have, through neglecting their health, they now have some very severe conditions. And their doctors are saying there's no way you can get better. They're chucking money at them. Best doctors in the world, but they can't. Why? Neglect. Choose your your choices wisely. Yeah, choose your choices wisely. That's you're accountable for your actions, and you're accountable for your health. And as a Muslim, when we return to Allah and Yawm al-Qiyamah, when you get asked, Allah will ask you, did you look after the amana that I gave you? The questions, as Muslims, not even as Muslims, as humans, we are all accountable for our health.
Where do you want to take Shifa rehabilitation now? What's the next plan? Is it like you just want to keep scaling, or you grow the teams, or make an impact? Because right now, if you're just in Manchester, right, there's so many people in Birmingham, Leicester that want your service. So how's that going to work?
I always say to we've got the eagle here. And what does the eagle have? Wings.
Yes.
I always say, I want to try and expand these wings wherever they can take me.
Okay.
And why I say that is because my intention is, obviously Shifa is the name of Allah. A very strong name when you really kind of try to understand the name. Shifa is not just in one aspect of life, not just physical health. Shifa is spiritual. Shifa is mental. Shifa is a very deep name. In my own life, I've had, how should I say, situations where just even whenever I think of anything, Shifa comes into mind. And my intention is I want these wings to expand all over the world so people understand the might of one of the names of Allah. Never mind the 98 that are remaining, you know, and from a business, from dunya. And I just hope this serves me in the akhirah. I hope this is my, inshallah, my gateway to Jannah, you know. But when it comes to dunya, obviously I want to scale my business. I want to build a team. I want to hope, you know, my goal is to make this a vessel for aspiring therapists. So individuals who want to help themselves and others improve their health to come in, learn, educate, and then go. They can stay with Shifa, or if they go and do their own thing, to go and build their lives. I just want it to be known for a good way, and that's the goal. Whenever you do anything with a good intention, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, the outcome will always be good. And I had this conversation with my brother-in-law a couple of days ago. I said, for me, my mindset's changed drastically compared to when I started Shifa. I always say that I'm not too, you know, I just want to really focus on using Shifa as a platform to expand, help people, be that people who are struggling with their health, physically, mentally, alongside people who are struggling to, you know, say aspiring therapists are struggling to find a job, and inshallah we can bring them in and help them, give them a means to then, you know, even through our own vices to help people. And I want people to then look at my, you know, through all of that, what's ultimately going to happen as a business? You're scaling. You're building wealth. So, you know, worldly, we can, you know, inshallah, I only ask Allah to give me enough that is beneficial for me and that I'm accountable for. But there is no harm in, and I think we spoke about this earlier, before we started the podcast, there is no harm in Muslims wanting to be successful as long as you do good with what Allah has given to you. And that's the goal. You know, I want to do good with whatever means I make from this business, and also the people who I meet through this business. I just hope whatever we do there's goodness within it, there's khair within it. That's it.
That's perfect. So that's been the episode.
Alhamdulillah.
Honestly, Jazakallah khair, you know, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciated it, honestly. Smashed it. It was really good. Again, this was episode 5. We had Shifa Rehabilitation, again, Bilal coming through from Manchester. You know, there's loads of things, you know, you could learn from this podcast itself. You could find all his social media available. Again, there's probably going to be plenty of information, free advice, free resources available on his social media. I'll make sure I'll link that in this description below. Is there anything else that you want to shout out? Is it just...
No, the main thing I just want to say to everybody, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, you know, this episode. I really, you know, alhamdulillah, we get a lot of invites for podcasts. And I'm very appreciative. Alhamdulillah, you know, Allah's blessed me with a bit of a busy schedule, especially as of recent. And, you know, one thing I really loved about Mumkin is, you know, if those who don't understand the word Mumkin is, you know, possible. And it might sound very cliche, but everything is possible as long as you do it with the right intention, as long as you are willing to be dedicated, committed, and willing to put in the graft, and you want to achieve some goodness within whatever you do, everything is possible. I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and you know, I hope this is of benefit. Obviously, everyone who's watching, please do follow our social medias, show some love, show some support. If I've made any errors, I've said anything to upset anybody, please forgive me. Yeah, Jazakallah for viewing. So, brother, Jazakallah khair for having me on board. I really appreciate it. Habibi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.